With type O blood, if you are carrying it, you're carrying the oldest bloodline in existence, the same blood that kept your ancestors alive through ice ages, droughts, countless extinctions of other species, and climate catastrophes that nearly ended humanity. And even if your blood type is not type O, your ancestors had type O blood. Somewhere back in your family tree, somewhere, before genetic mutations that created other blood types and other things that meddled with blood types, your lineage flowed with this primordial blood. This is where we all came from. This is the blood that came before everything else. So, what exactly is this blood type and why does it matter? Before we can understand type O blood, we actually need to understand what blood types are. Not the simplified version from my last video or that you learned in high school biology, but a deeper story written in molecular chemistry and immune system evolution. Firstly, blood types aren't just labels doctors use for transfusions. They are genetic markers, snapshots that are etched into our cells and tell a story of who we are and how we survived. And blood types were actually only discovered in 1900. And at that early time, physicians were transfusing blood between patients with drastically inconsistent results. Sometimes it worked miraculously, saving lives. And in too many cases, bodies rejected the foreign blood in ways that seemed completely unpredictable. And in many of these cases, blood transfusions gone wrong, patients died within minutes. In early 1900, someone by the name of Karl Landsteiner, an Austrian physician working in Vienna, did something where he took blood samples from himself and his colleagues, separated their blood cells from the plasma and mixed them together in different combinations. And he saw under the microscope that the red blood cells stayed separate, floating freely in the solution. And other times they clumped together into aggregates that would have killed a patient if they had occurred inside living veins. This was a pattern and it wasn't random. Certain blood samples always clumped with certain others and always stayed separate from others. Landsteiner had discovered that the human blood came in distinct types and that these types were fundamentally incompatible with each other. Each cell is covered with millions of protein and carbohydrate structures called antigens, like molecular flags that tell your immune system which cell belongs where. The ABO blood type system is determined by which of two specific antigens you are carrying. A type A person having A antigens, type B people having B antigens. Type A people have both. A type O, they have neither. Their red blood cells are naked, they're stripped of these antigens. And your blood doesn't just carry antigens on your cells, it also carries antibodies in your plasma, like lock and key, remember biology. These antibodies are specifically designed to attack the antigens you don't have. It's like your immune system has learned to recognize and destroy anything that doesn't match your own type. If you're type A, your plasma contains anti-B bodies, ready to attack B antigens they encounter. If you're type B, you carry A antibodies. The type AB individuals have neither antibody because attacking either antigen would mean attacking their own cells. And type O people carry both A antigen and B antigen antibodies. Their immune systems are primed to attack both foreign antigens, protecting them against blood that carries either marker. And this is why type O individuals can only receive type O blood. Anything else triggers an immediate immune response, those antibodies binding to the foreign antigens and causing the deadly clumping that Landsteiner observed in his microscope. If type O blood carries no A or B antigens, then it has nothing for other people's antibodies to attack. A type O red blood cell can slip into a type A, type B, or type AB person's bloodstream without triggering alarm bells. No antigen means no recognition. I'm going to repeat that. No antigen means no recognition, no attack, no clumping. This makes type O the universal donor. Blood that can save anyone's life in an emergency when there's no time for testing and cross-matching. The implications are staggering when you think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Type O isn't just another blood type, it's the baseline, the default state. The other blood types are additions, genetic modifications that added new antigens to the red blood cell surface. Type O is what's left when you have stripped those modifications away. It's humanity's unadorned blood, it's ancient. Then there's the Rh factor, which is a layer of complexity that was discovered decades after Landsteiner's initial breakthrough. The Rh system involves a different antigen, People either have it, making them Rh positive, or lack it, making them Rh negative. So when you combine the two systems, you get 8 common blood types plus having the Rh antigen or not. A person who has type O negative blood, which lacks both A and B antigens as well as the Rh antigen, becomes the universal donor. It's the blood that emergency rooms hope they have when trauma patients arrive bleeding and there's no time for typing. It's basically the blood that almost any human body will accept. Why does this matter in this story? Because in genetics, simple often means old. Complex traits usually evolve from simpler ones, not the other way around. Mutations add information, create new structures, build complexity on top of existing foundations. When you find a trait that's molecularly simple, stripped down to its bare essentials, you're often looking at something ancient, something that existed before the additions and modifications came along. Type O blood, with its absence of antigens, its molecular nakedness, might be the blood that flowed through our ancestors' veins before the other types had emerged. It may have been the blood that carried oxygen to the brains of those 1,280 bottleneck survivors as they clung to existence through 170,000 years of climate catastrophe. The blood that sustained the first humans as they walked out of Africa. The blood that came before everything else. And if this is true, then understanding type O means understanding something profound about human survival, about the biological inheritance that connects us to people who lived before civilization, before agriculture, and before written history. We know blood type O is ancient, but how ancient? How do you date something that doesn't leave fossils, something that exists only as microscopic differences in the proteins coating your red blood cells? The answer lies in a technique that sounds like science fiction, but is actually just very clever math. Molecular clocks. The basic idea is simple, even if the execution is mind-bending. Your DNA mutates at a relatively predictable rate, not perfectly regular or clockwork, but consistent enough that scientists can use it to measure time. Think of it like radioactive decay, but instead of atoms breaking down, you're watching genetic letters change. One base pair swapping for another, generation after generation, creating a kind of molecular fossil record written in the language of genetics. Genetics can compare the DNA sequences between different blood types and count the differences. More differences mean more time has passed since those variants shared a common ancestor. It's like comparing two versions of a text that was copied by hand repeatedly. Each copy introduces small errors, typos, and changed words. Compare the two copies separated by many generations of copying, and you'll see lots of differences. Compare two recent copies, and you'll see very few. The ABO blood type gene sits on chromosome 9, position 9q34.2 if you want to get technical about it. It's a relatively small piece of genetic code, just over 1,000 base pairs coding for a protein called glycosyltransferase, the protein that determines what kind of sugar molecules get attached to the surface of your red blood cells. Type O, type A, type B, they're all just variations in how this one gene instructs your cells to decorate themselves. When scientists started applying molecular clock techniques to the ABO gene in the late 1990s, so recent, I was born in 89, they expected it would be old. What they didn't expect was just how old. The earliest estimates suggested that the common ancestor of all modern blood types existed somewhere between 1 and 2 million years ago, before modern humans, before Neanderthals, before Homo erectus even finished spreading across the old world. It's genetic variation that predates our species by hundreds of thousands of years, possibly over 1 million. Your blood type, as we know with DNA, isn't just inherited from your parents or your grandparents. It's inherited from ancestors who weren't even anatomically modern yet, who were just beginning the long evolutionary journey that would eventually produce you. But here's what gets complicated. Not all geneticists agree on this exact timeline. Some molecular clock studies push the dates back even further, suggesting blood type diversity might extend even 3 or even 5 million years ago into the past. Others argue for more recent origins, maybe only 500,000 years ago. The range of estimates is huge, which tells us this isn't settled science. It's detective work, and the clues are fragmentary at best. one thing I wanted to share with you before closing this video is, as I was reading about breaking down and watching genetic letters change and base pair swapping for another after generation and generation, I couldn't help but think of George Orwell's 1984. And if you have not read that book, I mean, in a blood typing sense, not in a like a historical and political document destruction sense, but I don't know, I was thinking about blood typing in that sense of that plot of that book. And it was a required text when I was a kid in school. I think it's banned in certain countries now. Obviously, it had a resurgence in 2020 after COVID, but I would highly recommend anyone who has not read that book to read it. Skipping out the end is fine because it's a bit dark in the end, but it's just a good book to understand how timelines can absolutely be messed with, and that history is not what it looks like. And it's very important to remember that even when it comes to medicine and blood types. And I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you're having an amazing day or evening, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel for all my latest videos. I have lots coming this week. I'm going to be posting one on the extraordinary meridians, which are fascinating in Chinese medicine, and their history is some of the oldest stuff. I mean, they go into Chiang Mai, and this is like the idea of the extraordinary meridians to me is so cool because it's the first sort of sprout of you inside the womb that it is created are those 6 meridians, and they don't have points along them, unlike the main meridians. So here I am giving you a little preview to extraordinary meridians. So stay tuned, subscribe, and that video will hopefully get shown to you on your page if you are subscribed when it is posted. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for your time. And quick side note I wanted to just mention is that there are 8 extraordinary meridians, but when I was saying 6, I meant minus Du and Ren, which actually have points along their meridian. So there are 8 extraordinary meridians, including Du and Ren Mai, but I was just referring to Yin Wei, Yang Wei, Yin Chao, Yang Chao, as well as Chong and Dai Mai. But Du and Ren are part of the yams. So we are going to get into that next week. Stay tuned. I'm really excited to share it with you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.